is Tony from Homestead Skills. Lots and lots of things happening in the world these days. It's hard to keep up with them all. The election in the U.S. is happening quite soon, and there seems to be quite an interesting set of events that are going along with that, to say the least. We have the issue in Iran, which maybe some people don't focus on, but I certainly have. I feel for those women. I understand what they're fighting for, I guess. And it is more than just the right to take off a scarf. It is, they are fighting for to not be oppressed, to not be second-class citizens, to be treated as equals. And I understand that there was a large protest yesterday, because yesterday marked 40 days after the death of this young girl. And I'm familiar with the concept of mourning somebody for 40 days after they died because it's common in my heritage. Here, as I say, I just understand the concept of the 40 days of mourning and the implication of that being a turning point, a marking point. And so larger protests, a lot more people have died. But I don't think these ladies are going to give up. I think they're all very tired of the oppressive society. And it gets back to my thought about the pendulum. Once again, in that society, mind you, it has swung so far in one direction for so long that with so much force applied, that it can't help but swing back the other way. It's laws of motion, laws of physics. It can't keep going in the one direction because there is always opposing forces pulling at it. So anyway, interesting to see the outcome of that. And these are just events that I keep my eyes on. The Russian-Ukrainian war, seems to be that there are attempts, feeble though they may be, to try to get them to come to a resolution. And I strongly believe those attempts should be encouraged, and they should do whatever they can to end this war, because how many more people have to die before they realize that there are no winners? Anyway, I'll leave that one alone and let one, it'll ride itself out. So what else is going on today? Well, apparently Musk has decided that he will follow through with his deal with Twitter. And he's been spending a few days in Twitter's offices this past week. And yes, that fellow is an interesting character. And he will allow freer speech on that platform than what is allowed on others. So it should be interesting, and that's one. And that is one more bit of evidence that the pendulum is swinging in the other direction. And from what I've been seeing, there are those now who have recognized that, although a lot of us have recognized it a long time ago, that it would happen. It was just a matter of time. And perhaps it's the events in the U.S. that are bringing that time closer to the fore. And there are those now who are trying to say, no, I was always on that side. I wasn't on this side, even though I have been on this side all along. I am now on that side, because the pendulum is swinging in that direction. But anyway, and actually, and talking about energy that's being applied, or energy that is pushing things back the other way. We also have Saudi Arabia, who is saying they're looking after their own interests. They're not in it to look after the interests of other countries. They're in it to look after their interests first. And if it benefits other countries when they're looking after their own interests, fine and dandy. And if it doesn't, that's not their problem. They're not there to bail out anybody else. That other people should look after their own interests. Other countries should look after their own interests. I heartily agree. They should look after their interests of their own people first. So maybe Saudi Arabia is actually a leader now. And all of Europe is in trouble. So doesn't mean they can't find a way out. And timing is very short. But where there's a will, there's always a way. So let's see what Europe can do to help itself. We don't know what it can do. And then we have the US, which offers us probably one of the more interesting things that are going on in this world. The US always being a leader in the forefront of all kinds of change. It would appear as though the massive control and dictating to people what they can and can't do has been tried and is failing here, which is good to see. That won't go away easily, though. That is still a fight that has to be fought. Iran is moving away from it, and we were moving towards it, and the chaos that Iran has to face before they're done is just a telltale sign of what's ahead of us here if we don't do something to resolve that situation before it occurs. So, yes, interesting how, no matter how that election turns out in the US, there's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of fallout, a lot of unhappiness, people who've had control losing it, people who want control not getting it. Yeah. I think all that we can do here is still, on a personal level, prepare as much as you can to look after your own interests first and your family's interests next. I got a meme which says, goes to the supermarket for eggs and cereal. Cashier, your total will be $137.28. Yeah, they're catching on. It's taken them long enough, but they're catching on. It's becoming... So what happens now? Is this when the panic starts to set in? Should I be going out to get some more flour and cornmeal? Flour, cornmeal, beans, rice. Those four seem to be four staples that you can certainly live off. And I think at this point I probably want to make a huge pot of chili or two and can up individual meals. Mark and I put up some chili maybe 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I don't know when it was, but Mark found it and we've been eating chili. And yes, that's not really something you want to eat during the summer, during the warm months, but we're just about out. I think I have 2 jars left. He pointed that out to me. He says, is that chili? I said, yep. 2 jars left, so it perhaps is time for me to make another very large supply. And so yeah, maybe make 2 or 3 pots of it and can it up. And those are great for ready-made meals on their own if need be, or with rice, or with cornbread, or with toast. So something like chili, which has meat in it, cans up beautifully, and I have no qualms about making a very large supply of that as well. So good to have in-house. It's only the 2 of us. I'm only going to do it in pint jars, but it's probably wise if I get around to doing that as soon as possible. Anyway, yes, everyone wants to feel safe in their own homes. Everyone also wants to be able to walk the streets in safety. They want to be able to earn a living and be able to buy goods and services at a acceptable cost. I'm not saying. And yes, we also have China. China wanting to control Taiwan, just like Russia wanted to control the Ukraine. I don't think the two are the same, but there are similarities there. And neither one of them want to be absorbed by the other. So there's some people that wonder why the US doesn't absorb Canada. Other countries are not willing to make up the shortfall for our lack of proper management. So yeah, gas prices will go up. Heating homes will be a lot more costly this year. Food is going to be a lot more costly. There are big changes. And in Canada, maybe worse than the US because we're taxed much more heavily. In every way, shape, and form. And yeah, it's going to have a serious impact. House prices are dropping everywhere. People are feeling the pain. And that isn't going to go away anytime soon. So there is nothing wrong with prosperity. There is nothing wrong with peace. There is nothing wrong with spending time with your loved ones. Perhaps we need to do a little bit more of that too. I want people to have a great Thanksgiving in the US, and I want us all to have a wonderful Christmas. Celebrate family gatherings together. So hopefully things will turn around for the better before then, but if not, we still have to learn to be thankful for the little bit that we can change. I've heard it said that man can withstand anything except that which is divinely ordained. The trick is knowing what's divinely ordained. Anyway, it's definite that the next few weeks are going to be so interesting. So many dominoes are going to fall. Fortunes rise and fall. People will be displaced. And it's not just in North America. This is happening worldwide. People are being displaced and others are put in their place constantly. And the world is changing, and it's changing very, very quickly. The issue is being able to adapt to the changes, and I don't think we can hide from them anymore. At best, we can stock up some food against the days where it may be in short supply. Plan on what you're going to do with your next year's garden. You see, there's the unfortunate aspect that even though a lot of us that believe in the homesteading lifestyle or want the homesteading lifestyle or whatever, don't have it. We don't all have land. We don't have animals. So a lot of us do have to rely on, I myself have to rely on a rented garden. And there's no room for animals there. Can't keep chickens there. Any meat I have to buy, either from stores or from farmers. I don't have the option to grow my own. And a lot of us, I would say the majority of people are in that position. And of that majority, probably the majority don't even want to grow their own food or look after their own piece of land. The majority are quite happy to have somebody else do that for them, and they just go out and buy it and focus on whatever their interests are, whether it is scientific, medical, or whatever it is. You know, not everyone is cut out to be a farmer or a homesteader. Some are writers. Everyone has a different calling. So, yeah, there are those of us that do have to rely on others for those services. And they should be supported in order to be able to provide essential services. That term essential services came up a couple of years ago, but it's become abundantly clear that all services are pretty much essential. All services depend, everyone depends on everyone else to provide something. So, yes, we either all support each other together or we all fall together. And it's about time that mankind has started to try and figure that one out. Anyway, I say too much sometimes. Stock up on food. Look after your babies. Love you all. This is Tony from her Homestead Skills. We'll be back.